Etsy is going to make the search algorithm worse. Yep, I wish I was making this up for clicks. Yep, Josh did say that in the recent webinars with JP Morgan and Bernstein. Listen.
We've got to create an understandable and explainable search engine that works almost as well.
And I wanted to dig in and explain what he said and what that's going to mean for us sellers. This was a section in both webinars where he was talking about Etsy search. And of course, as an Etsy seller, the number one thing we want to know is, how do I rank higher in search? So Josh said, if you Google that, all you see is tons of videos talking about keyword stuffing. So let's do that search. Now, not to be pedantic, but if you're searching on Google, then you'll mainly see articles. And after the adverts, I see advice from Printful, Growing Your Craft. Oh, and an eRank article from Starla. And all of those seem to be talking about the factors that Etsy gives us. Relevancy, but also quality score factors, like giving good quality customer service. What I don't see is any of the Etsy guides from Etsy themselves ranking for this search term. So Josh, if you feel that's important, shouldn't the Etsy advice be right there at the top of that search? Anyway, looking at the featured videos, Brandon Timothy talking about customer experience score, listing quality score. And on the videos page, similar videos mentioning reviews. They'll talk about using keywords, but not keyword stuffing. It almost sounded like Josh is against SEO, but he's saying there tends to be tens of thousands of relevant items and a couple of hundred that are very similar. So he wants to educate sellers how they can stand out and earn the way to the top of search. So a lot of that we know already, the listing quality score and the market experience score. But he mentions more things, a handwritten note, shipping on time, shipping prices. Well, they are covered in advice on Etsy and by many Etsy gurus too. Basically, good customer service so that you get good reviews. Now, Josh says they're working hard to expose sellers to Etsy's view of how they're doing across a number of quality metrics. And they will transparently show sellers their item quality and service quality score.
Here's how we rank the item quality of each of your items, and here's how we rank your service quality overall.
Now, quite a few people tagged me last week saying they heard Josh had said that Etsy was going to start showing our listing quality score. Now, Josh had carefully used slightly different words here, although it does sound like a very similar thing. But anyway, it's sounding like we'll have another thing somewhere on our dashboard letting us know this score and what we can do to improve it, possibly as an expansion to the growth tips area, and perhaps a little like the star seller. They're talking about doing this quickly this year, so it would make sense to build something similar to something they already have. I sort of don't see this as being groundbreaking, and I won't lie, I am a little worried. Yes, telling us our reviews are a little low and we could do better in search with higher reviews, this is something we kind of already knew, but it is going to stress a lot of sellers out, especially with buyers giving low reviews wrongly. But I worry that a suggestion that could improve conversion, which indirectly could increase ranking, will now become a factor to rank our items. I worry the algorithm is going to become dumbed down. Rather than saying buyers may be more likely to buy things that ship a little quicker, the algorithm may be weighted to factor in shipping time, things like that. Oh, and location, because he did say this.
Prioritizing in search things that are located closer to you, that are going to arrive faster and be cheaper to ship.
Now, Josh did say they will be changing the algorithm because they have to have an explainable model to be able to tell sellers that this thing ranks them higher in search. And I hear you asking, what do you mean an explainable model? Etsy don't know how their algorithm works. Actually, sort of no. Even Josh said it's a black box model that's not explainable. Roughly what this means, for ages now, search engines have been using a type of machine learning. It's not a case of tags add this weight to your ranking, reviews add this weight, and it all adds together to where your item ranks. algorithms kind of work by Etsy feeding in all the parameters, all the metrics it has, like tags, titles, reviews, etc., etc. And it's the algorithm's job to show customers the item it thinks they're most likely to buy. So the machine's always looking at the factors and trying to figure out which mix of them is more likely to get a sale. The engineers at Etsy or Google or wherever the search engine is don't really understand which parameters the algorithm weights the highest. They only tweak the things they feed in. So that's why it's called a black box. You feed in data, it makes decisions, and you tell it if it was a good or bad decision without understanding why it made the decision. And then it takes that good or bad feedback from you, tweaks some more, and gives different decisions the next time. Now, Josh says this algorithm is great, but it's not explainable. So they need to create a new algorithm, one that's explainable, so one they know what metrics are important. And it won't be as good as the one they have now. But because they're going to be able to tell sellers what is the most important things they need to improve, then sellers will be able to improve it, and it becomes a virtuous cycle of items on Etsy getting better, and it'll be a race to the top. I hope they're right, but I have a fear. Most search engines don't tell you all their metrics that they're looking at because people try and game the system, try and get to the top of search by ticking the right boxes, not by having the best listings. So now if we're told our listings will rank better if we do X, Y, and Z, to me that's still missing one very big point. It's not looking at if the listing is something customers actually want to buy. So either the metrics will be things totally out of the buyer's hands, like you need to make more sales from being seen in search, and that'll make it impossible for sellers to rank their listings. Or the metrics will be things that sellers can control, and the best listings will not be ranking, just the sellers who can game the system better. Seriously, do you remember the old days when any views were an important metric and people would actually hire people to sit in Etsy forums all day playing like for like and view for view games? There's a third worry too. If the metrics that help you rank are now fully explainable because they're decided on by Etsy, they can make us jump through every hoop they want. Next day shipping, free shipping, only using Etsy shipping labels, any metric they can legally use, they can weigh at any level they choose. Don't get me wrong, I love they're talking more seller education, and I'll wait and see how this ends up. But I'm worried it seems like a step back to really dumb down the algorithm. They could have done this with machine learning algorithms. They already have heaps of data on what things customers are more likely to buy. So a checklist of suggestions that could improve our conversion would be fine, rather than the exact steps to game to see increases in scores to rank the items that can game the system the best. And a couple of final things I dislike if he really means they're removing the machine learning and moving to a more fixed prescriptive algorithm. Machine learning keeps on learning, so it can move fairly quickly with trends. It can see if at certain times a day people mean different things, or if people suddenly start using different phrases. The explainable algorithm would have to be retrained, and then everyone would have to be explained to again. And there is one algorithm that they won't be changing, as far as I know, that is based on this kind of machine learning thing, and that's the ads algorithm. So if the listings in organic search are the ones that just game the system to get to the top, but the listings that are shown in ads are the ones that are figured out are more likely for the customer to buy, then it could be a case that all the customers are going to be buying is the stuff from ads, which makes Etsy more money. Interesting. And another thing is, how will it give other listings a chance? Every now and again, the algorithm tests other listings, or rather, it limits the amount of time the top listings are shown. This is to see how other listings do, because if it didn't do this, then as past sales is a factor in how an item ranks, then the listings on page 1 would pretty much always be on page 1, and no one else would have a chance. If the algorithm is fully fully explained and your listing has a score, your friend's listing has a score, etc., does that mean that there's no way to bring back a listing that didn't perform well to start with? No way to recover from a bad review? Because basically that bad review drops your score. If your score's dropped, then you're ranking lower in search. If you're ranking lower in search, you're not going to be being seen, so you can't get more sales, so you can't get more reviews. I want to like this change. I am all for more education for sellers, but making Etsy ads simpler for sellers didn't in any way benefit Etsy sellers. Do I see dumbing down the algorithm and giving Etsy more control to be a good thing? I'm not hopeful, but what do you think? Now, this was the second video from these webinars. If you like this, you want to check out the first video where I'm talking about how search is going to be changed.